It's incredible to think that only a couple of years ago Doncaster Rovers fans were dancing all over the Britannia Ground Stadium at Stoke after that wonderful promotion day against Dagenham and Redbridge. Now, here they are in League One. Yes, League One of the Football League. Can the remarkable, romantic story continue? Well, you're about to find out. It certainly was never going to be a dull season at Bellevue.
After winning the old Third Division Championship the previous season, Doncaster Rovers amazingly started life in the newly styled Coca-Cola League One as one of the favourites to go straight back down. But could Dave Penny's men prove the pundits and bookies wrong and survive in their new surroundings after back-to-back promotions? Rovers certainly started in the right frame of mind, and on a boiling hot Saturday afternoon in August, they kicked off the new season with a home game against Blackpool. And over 7,000 fans didn't have too long to wait for the first goal. With just 8 minutes on the clock, Tim Ryan picked up the ball on the left and hit a scorcher from all of 25 yards that clearly caught the Seasiders keeper Sasha Illich unawares. But the former Charlton goalkeeper redeemed himself when he palmed away Michael McIndoe's free kick. That single goal lead looked vulnerable on occasions, and John Murphy grazed the post as Blackpool searched for an equaliser. But then, 9 minutes from time, Leo Fortune West put the outcome beyond any doubt when he slotted home number 2 after good build-up play from Greg Blundell. Three days later, Rovers visited the capital, hoping to continue against the Brentford side that had lost 3-1 at Chesterfield on the opening day, and for a while it looked as though they would succeed. They led through Michael McIndoe, who took full advantage of a mix-up in the home defence. But back came Brentford to equalise through Isaiah Rankin's diving header. Rovers regained the lead through a Michael McIndoe penalty after he'd been brought down by ex-Doncaster keeper Stuart Nelson. Apologies for the camera position, but it didn't stop Brentford, who somehow scored 3 goals after the break to seemingly put the match beyond Doncaster's reach. To their credit, Rovers pulled another goal back through Paul Green, John McGrath laying the ball into his path, but couldn't find that elusive equaliser, even though the Bees finished with only 10 men. Rovers' game at Bradford City was their first visit to Valley Parade in 20 years, and they were not without support, but sadly it was not to be a happy return. Mark Bauer opened the scoring for the Bantams, and Lee Crooks bundled a header over the line all before half-time to leave Rovers with a mountain to climb if they were to rescue anything from the game. Leo Fortune West went closest for Doncaster in a spirited second half, but this effort flashed fractionally wide of the upright. Bradford City had been one of the pre-season favourites for promotion, and another hot tip, Brian Little's Tranmere Rovers were next visitors to Bellevue. It finished goalless, but Rovers, the Doncaster version that is, could take heart from their performance. Andy Warrington kept the home side in the game before a Tim Ryan special beat Tranmere keeper John Achterberg, but cannoned back off the woodwork. Port Vale then visited Bellevue for a Carling Cup first-round tie, and it was the visitors who went in front first when Dean Smith scored midway through the first half after a series of deflections in the Rovers' penalty area. It wasn't long though before the home side drew level. Paul Green's cross from the left was headed home by Leo Fortune West. In the second half, Rovers took control. Green again was the architect, and he supplied the pass to John Doolan, who hit an absolute scorcher. And Michael McIndoe wrapped up the scoring when he slotted home after a goal-mouth scramble. Back to league action, and the Rovers went on their travels for the next match, this time deep into Essex to take on Colchester at Layer Road. In a devastating first half, Rovers knew little of what had hit them. The long ball out to defence beat them all ends up, and Craig Fagan opened Colchester's account. Gavin Johnson and Greg Halford added further goals as the home side ran riot. John Doolan popped up with another rare strike to bring some hope to the travelling fans. But sadly any hopes of a fight back were quickly dashed in the second half when Maureen O'Keefe scored Colchester's fourth 20 minutes from the end, this one direct from the free kick. The last game of the month saw Huddersfield Town make their annual Bank Holiday Monday visit to Bellevue. Rovers had only notched one victory in Yorkshire Derby since rejoining the league, and clearly this was a must-win encounter. As it happened, Rovers keeper Andy Warrington was nothing more than a spectator for most of the game, and the home side took the lead through Leo Fortune West. Not the prettiest of goals the big man has ever scored, but as they say, they all count. Paul Green scored Rovers' second in the second half, although he needed 3 bites of the cherry before eventually putting the ball in the net. A late lapse in concentration allowed Town to pull a goal back through John Worthington, whose shot somehow sneaked past Andy Warrington, but Rovers hung on for 3 precious points. 7 points from the first 6 games isn't a bad reward, but all of those points were secured at Bellevue. The first game in September saw ex-Arsenal striker Paul Merson bring his Walsall side to Bellevue. Rovers had loan signing Mark Wilson from Middlesbrough on the bench, but it was Nick Fenton who opened their account, the defender scoring with his first goal since his close season signing from Notts County. Michael McIndoe had the chance to double the lead minutes before half-time when Leo Fortune West's header was handled in the area. But the visiting keeper Mark Paston saved his penalty kick. The Scot did, however, redeem himself 5 minutes into the restart when he scored the second after Greg Blundell had headed the ball on. Rovers skipper Steve Foster stopped Darryl Taylor from pulling a goal back for Walsall. But then Matt Fryatt did score for the Saddlers midway through the second half. Thankfully, any hopes Walsall had of stealing a point evaporated, and the whole of Bellevue erupted when, with just 2 minutes remaining, Greg Blundell scored his first goal of the new season after James Coppinger created the opportunity. A trip to the National Hockey Stadium at Milton Keynes was next on the agenda for a game with MK Dons. Andy Warrington saved Rovers from going behind early in the game, but despite Doncaster having a large share of the territorial advantage, half-time arrived goalless. Gradually Rovers wore down the home side, and midway through the second half they scored what turned out to be the winner. Max Sporran's corner caused the Dons all sorts of problems, and Mark O'Brien's header went through a crowd of players before eventually crossing the line. Next up at Bellevue were Oldham Athletic. Jermaine Max Sporran went close for Rovers in the first half, before a long ball out of the Oldham defence caught Rovers in disarray, and Jermaine Johnson lobbed the ball over Andy Warrington and into the net to put the visitors into the lead. In all fairness, Doncaster battled away, and thankfully the referee spotted John Eyre handling Mark O'Brien's goal-bound effort in the area. From the resulting penalty, Michael McIndoe drew Doncaster level, and though Nick Fenton went close to notching the winner with a second-half header, the game fizzled out into a rather tame 1-1 draw. Over 6,000 were at Bellevue for Rovers' next game, and it was a cracker as Dave Penny's men pitted their wits against the mighty Ipswich Town. Joe Royal had brought his star-studded tractor boys to Doncaster, but they were rocked after only 6 minutes when Guy Ipoa diverted the ball into the path of Ricky Ravenhill, who, despite the attention of closing defenders, slotted home from close range. Jim Magilton's free kick brought a fine save out of Andy Warrington as Ipswich fought to get back into the match. But Rovers doubled their lead just 1 minute into the restart, with a goal right out of the top drawer. Michael McIndoe on the left fed Jermaine Max Sporran on the right, and the ex-Wycombe man unleashed an absolute screamer that whistled past Lewis Price in the visitors' goal. Darren Bent brought a fine reflex save from Andy Warrington in the closing stages, and manager Dave Penny was an understandably jubilant man at the final whistle.
Yeah, brilliant goals. I mean, Ricky's come in, really, we fetched him in to do a job on Jim Magilton, stop him playing, really. And he popped some scores within 5 minutes and settled us down and gave us something to build on. And then straight away in the second half, I think it was only 30 seconds, and Jermaine smacked one in the top corner and really gave us some belief that we could go on and win it, really.
This game brought the team back down to earth with a bang in a performance that many described as embarrassing. The damage was undoubtedly done in the first half, as Bournemouth rattled in 4 goals to make the second half a mere formality. Rovers' defence was breached far too easily for the first goal when Danny Rodriguez applied the finishing touch, and the second, scored by James Hayter, originated from the same side of the park. An unmarked Eddie Howe had a simple job of heading home a right-sided corner. And Gareth O'Connor put Bournemouth 4 up when he got on the end of a cross from Warren Cummings just before the break. In a slightly improved second half, Rovers limited the Cherries to just 1 further goal, Hayter scoring after an assist by Spicer. Rovers finished September fractionally into the top half of the table, but away form still gives cause for concern. And October started with a home game against Wrexham. This match coincided with Rovers' 125th anniversary, but sadly the team couldn't stamp their authority on the proceedings, and it finished goalless, with Chris Beardsley and James Coppinger going the closest for Rovers in front of a crowd of over 7,500.
Craig James.
Up go the arms, pre-arranged signal. Ball floated in. And Billy Painter, offside. O'Connor. Lovely turn off Robin Hull, but quick feet, quick thinking, and a lovely pass. Well, Matthews there. Painter, 1-0. Beautifully done. Hesitation in the Doncaster back line, and Billy Painter opens the goal that sends the Port Vale fans glad all over. Quick 1-2 give and go football. Greg Blundell. This could be dangerous for Port Vale. They need to. Well, is this it? And that's beautiful. Offside. That was a beautiful goal. Mickey Cummins lays it back to James. He knew he was there with space and a bit of time on his hands, but he launches it forward up to the edge of the area. Just wide of the target. Chrissy Birchall. The short ball in. Birchall lays it back. In comes the cross. And it's in the net. I don't know who's claiming the goal. I think Sam Collins is claiming the goal. 8 minutes on the clock. Mulligan, I think, is going to try and curl one in from here. Chips it in. And Johnny Brain, fantastic save.
Calm down, says Joe Okafor. Seems to have it under control, and Akinfenwa has gone past the offside trap. Real chance for Torquay. He scored. It's Adebayo Akinfenwa, the former Doncaster Rovers player. He's taken so much flack off the Doncaster crowd in the warm-ups and during the early stages, and he's made them pay for it. In the 9th minute, Doncaster Rovers 0, Torquay United 1. I think it was switched around at Exeter City as well. Coppinger, there he is again, and a couple of men in the middle, and there's Michael McIndoe. He couldn't really miss from there, could he? Right on the spot. There were two Doncaster players there that weren't really being marked. Slack defending by Torquay. Doncaster are level in the 18th minute. It's former Yeovil Town player Michael McIndoe. Here's Fowler. Torquay faffing about with it in the centre, and it might cost them. There's McIndoe with a long-range shot, and it was inches over the top, that's all. He'd spotted Olafur Gutskirksen off his line, Michael McIndoe, and thought, well, I'll have a go. Wasn't a bad idea, bar a few words from Torquay supporters. Now it's livened up a bit. This is Blundell on the ball. Who else? There's James Coppinger, tries to slip it in, and it's an easy tap-in, and a second goal for Michael McIndoe. Well, the Torquay defence was all over the place then, and he had the freedom of South Yorkshire, McIndoe, to just tap it in from about 2 inches out. It's 2-1. Here come Doncaster with McSporran. It's 2-on-3 at the back. Well, the yellow and blue shirts catching up now. Decent ball in. Oh! McIndoe was on a hat-trick, but a brilliant save on the line by Olafur Gutskirksen to thwart the Scotsman at the back post. McGlinchey's throw-in. I'll keep my eye on the fourth official. As Torquay hoof it into the centre. There's Joe Okafor, and it's an equaliser for Torquay United in the 90th minute. They just never give up, do they?
This game will forever be firmly embedded in the minds of all Rovers supporters. Almost 4,000 of them made the short trip to Oakwell. In the dying seconds of the first half, Rovers took the lead when Barnes' Paul Reed turned Jermaine McSporran's cross past his own goalkeeper. Within 15 minutes of the second half, Rovers were 3 up. Greg Blundell picked up the pieces from Tim Ryan's shot to double Rovers' lead. Then Barnes' generosity was extended even further when Tony Vaughan also scored an own goal. Michael Chopra pulled a late goal back for the home side, and both teams finished with 10 men. Jacob Burns and Ricky Ravenhill were to receive red cards in separate incidents. But in all fairness, Rovers are never in any serious danger and completed what can perhaps best be described as a smash and grab act. Four days later, and it was another short trip, this time to Saltergate to take on Chesterfield. Though the game finished goalless, it was an enthralling match, plenty of effort from both sides, with goalkeepers Carl Muggleton and Andy Warrington equal to just about everything thrown at them, and in the end, a point each was a fair outcome. A break from league action saw Rovers entertain Nottingham Forest in the third round of the Carling Cup. 9,600 fans packed into Bellevue, they were confident of overcoming a Forest side under the management of ex-Doncaster boss Joe Kinnear. Forest's league form was giving cause for concern, but on the night, though, there was no doubting that the visitors were a class act. Marlon King got on the end of David Johnson cross to put Forest one up, and James Perch made it safe for the visitors when he rose almost unchallenged from a corner to divert the ball beyond Andy Warrington. Barry Fry's Peterborough United were Rovers' next visitors in a match that had Doncaster down to 10 men for almost 50 minutes. Rovers had taken the lead after only 4 minutes when McIndoe intercepted a poor back pass from Saggy Burton and slotted the ball beyond posh keeper Mark Tyler. Clive Platt then equalised for the visitors from a looping cross from the right before Doolan was spotted retaliating against Saggy Burton and was promptly sent from the field. Rovers lost Leo Fortune West to injury, and for the whole of the second half it looked as though the match would finished all square. But then, 3 minutes from time, Neil Roberts fed Paul Green, whose shot deflected past Tyler to give Rovers maximum points, much to the disgust of a rather annoyed Mr. Fry. After pre-season predictions about instant relegation, consolidation saw Rovers in the top half of the table. Knocked out of the LDV on penalties at Hereford, Rovers returned to league action when they travelled to the north-east to take on Hartlepool at Victoria Park. Rovers introduced loan signing Michael Ingham in goal, and they took the lead through Neil Roberts, who diverted Coppinger's cross beyond the reach of Hartlepool's giant Greek keeper, Konstantopoulos. Joel Porter out-jumped the Doncaster defence in the second half to loop a header over keeper Ingram and into the net. But Rovers went within a whisker of regaining the lead, only the outstretched arm of Konstantopoulos preventing Paul Green from scoring. It all turned sour for Rovers in the closing minutes when Porter slotted the ball beyond the Rovers' debutant keeper for Hartlepool's winner. Next up at Bellevue was Stockport County, rock bottom of the league at the time. Excellent work by Coppinger created the opening for Greg Blundell to put Rovers in front. But early in the second half, Warren Feeney, later to be a transfer target for Dave Penny, got behind Rovers' defence to put County back on level terms, despite the close attention of Steve Foster. Thankfully, Rovers were soon back on the offensive, and Tim Ryan put them back in front with one of his long-range specials that deceived the Stockport keeper. before Greg Blundell wrapped up the points following good work by Michael McIndoe. Down at Kenilworth Road, Rovers went behind from a free kick curled in from just outside the penalty area by Kevin Nichols. But they battle hard against the league leaders and equalise with a close-range goal from Neil Roberts to see them return with a point from a 1-1 draw. Almost halfway through the season and with more than half of the minimum number of points that Dave Penny looked at for safety. The luck of the draw, if you can call it that, saw Rovers venture yet again into Devon, where they took on conference side Exeter City. Bristol City visited Bellevue on a Tuesday night and on-loan striker Simon Johnson made his league debut. But it was Neil Roberts who shone, and he headed home in style following Paul Green's free kick to give Rovers a lead after 35 minutes. Sadly, that advantage lasted less than 10 minutes, as on the stroke of half-time Steve Brooker, signed by City from Port Vale, picked up a pass from Luke Wiltshire and rifled the equaliser beyond Andy Warrington. Greg Blundell headed Rovers in front just before the break, following some neat passing down the right. But midway through the second half, Swindon powered forward and deservedly equalised with Sam Parkin's 72nd minute header following a cross from David Dew. And so to the big one, the long-awaited visit of Sheffield Wednesday, with a high noon kick-off on the last Sunday before Christmas. Perhaps the least said about this game the better, with Rovers capitulating and Wednesday strolling to victory. Steve McLean's first came when he caught Rovers all at sea at the back. And the second one will perhaps forever haunt Rovers keeper Andy Warrington, who missed his kick and allowed on-loan Kenwyn Jones to roll the ball into the unguarded net. McLean got on the end of a low hard cross from Jones to rattling Wednesday's third and his second of the afternoon. And he completed his hat-trick with a header from Lee Peacock's cross. Having had the roasting from the manager, Rovers set about mending bridges in the best possible way, and on Boxing Day MK Dons took the full brunt of the backlash, with Rovers running out 3-0 winners. Dons midfielder Gareth Edds put the ball past his own keeper for the opening goal, and in the second half 2 goals in the space of 2 minutes, both scored by on-loan Simon Johnson, helped Rovers secure an easy 3-0 victory. Doncaster skipper Steve Foster and Mark Albrighton returned to the starting lineup for this game, and Rovers looked altogether much tighter at the back. The last game of the year saw Rovers travel to the much-admired KC Stadium to take on Peter Taylor's Hull City, and over 24,000 witnessed a superb game. Hull's Danny Allsop defied Rovers' appeals for offside when he struck the opening goal on 20 minutes, but Doncaster's equaliser just before half-time was nothing short of superb. Ian Ashby's challenge on Tim Ryan saw Rovers awarded a free kick 25 yards from goal, and Dave Mulligan stepped up and hit a right-foot curler into the top corner of the net. A draw would have been a fair result, but Rovers suffered a terrible misfortune when John Doolan's back pass to Tim Ryan was way too short and Hull's top scorer Stuart Elliott rounded Ryan and slammed the ball home past Andy Warrington. Still retaining that mid-table respectability and on course for safety come the end of the season. Rovers started this game where they left off at the KC against Hull City on the offensive and took the lead with a classic own goal from Julian Bennett, who turned in a superb header from Neil Roberts' cross. The Saddlers equalised midway through the first half when Michael Standing rattled in a 20-yarder that found its way through a crowded area and beat Rovers keeper Warrington. Bournemouth were the first visitors to Bellevue in 2005 and the match brought Doncaster their 5th draw in 7 league outings. Rovers were keen to avenge that humiliating 5-0 defeat they suffered when these two sides met on the south coast back in September. The Cherries took the lead on the stroke of half-time when John Spicer headed powerfully past Stuart Jones from Neil Young's right-sided cross. Midway through the second half, Rovers drew level. Dave Mulligan's astute free kick found Paul Green and his downward header crossed the line despite the efforts of Bournemouth keeper Neil Moss. Having lost 2-0 at Vale Park back in October, Rovers were keen to gain revenge over Martin Foyle's side in the return fixture. In the end, it was comfortable for Doncaster. Tim Ryan weighed in with his customary long-distance Exocet, this one on the stroke of half-time, after narrowly failing with a similar chance minutes earlier. And the victory was sealed well into added time, Paul Green's cheeky back flick cleverly deceiving Johnny Brain in the Vale goal. Over 1,400 Rovers fans made the journey to Boundary Park, and it was a dream start for the Yorkshireman, who took the lead after a mere 63 seconds, the fastest goal of the day. Michael Mackindoe created the opportunity, and Greg Blundell rounded off the move, ramming the ball home at the far post. 9 minutes from time, Rovers doubled their lead with a classy individual effort from jockey Max Sporran, again thanks to an assist from Mackindoe. And although Oldham Scott Vernon pulled the goal back for the Latics, Rovers hung on for 3 priceless points. Rovers were keen to get revenge over their Humberside rivals, and in the end they dented Hull's promotion hopes, albeit temporarily, with a victory achieved by a single goal scored just before the hour mark. Neil Roberts fed Michael Mackindoe, who rifled the ball home from an acute angle. Wrexham at the racecourse ground saw Rovers striker Neil Roberts up against brother Steve. In the end, it finished goalless, and at least the Roberts brothers weren't complaining about this final result, although Wrexham were still staring at relegation after having 10 points deducted for going into administration. Undefeated throughout the month of January, and a playoff spot was looking a distinct possibility. Rovers travelled to Devon for the 3rd time in the season, and they were clearly looking forward to going one better than when the two sides met at Bellevue. Sadly, they were quickly chasing the game, and Leo Constantine headed the goals into the lead, following a cross from that man Akinfenwa. Michael Mackindoe went close for Rovers following a quick counter-attack. But then Torquay doubled their lead, Akinfenwa lobbing the ball over Andy Warrington and into the back of the net. A superb piece of individual skill from Mackindoe brought Rovers only consolation. He ran half the length of the field before beating defenders and putting the ball into the perfect path for Simon Johnson to force home. Chesterfield came to Doncaster having lost at home to Hartlepool 7 days earlier, and both sides were looking to bounce back to form. Rovers almost took the lead when James Coppinger's effort was blocked. But it was largely a stalemate until just 3 minutes from time, when Cem Montoya wormed his way across the face of the goal and chopped past Andy Warrington for the only goal of the game. Peterborough United had looked in dire trouble for some while, and the fixture at London Road presented Rovers with the opportunity to restore some lost pride and confidence. James Coppinger had a shot deflected by posh keeper Mark Tyler, before Greg Blundell's persistence created the chance for Neil Roberts to open the scoring. Skipper Steve Foster weighed in with his first goal of the season when he headed home a Mackindow corner, and in the end it was oh so comfortable for Dave Penny's side. Three days later and it was the return match with the old enemy Barnsley. Both sides were mindful of the first encounter at Oakwell back in October, and Paul Hart's team were understandably out for revenge. But it was Rovers who were quicker out of the blocks, and Paul Green and Michael Mackindow were involved in the build-up to Greg Blundell's opener. Minutes later, Blundell pounced on some hesitancy in the Tykes defence to double Rovers' advantage. Barnsley's Tony Vaughan sent James Coppinger crashing to the ground just before the break, and the visitors were reduced to 10 men, and there was no ease-up in pressure after the break for Barnsley. John Doolan rifled in an unstoppable 25-yarder to make it 3-0 to Rovers. And the scoring was complete when Paul Green slid home after a poorly defended corner kick. That victory over Barnsley gave Dave Penny the 50 points he'd always said would be enough to keep Rovers in the division. Swindon Town clearly hadn't read the script in this game, and after only 5 minutes Lee Holmes put the visitors in front after Sam Parkin's powerful run down the left wing. To their eternal credit, Rovers battled hard, and eventually Neil Roberts rattled in the equaliser on the half-hour mark after Coppinger's persistence had created a chance down the right. Having got the magical 50 points under their belt, Rovers were eyeing up yet another promotion. Lewis Guy, a striker signed from Newcastle United, started this game on the bench, but despite a spirited performance, Rovers conceded a goal in first half stoppage time, skipper Lee Bullen heading Wednesday in front after a cross from JP McGovern. James Coppinger's strong run and accurate cross was nearly turned in by Guy, who had replaced the injured Neil Roberts. But Wednesday moved up a gear, and it was no surprise when they doubled their lead through Drew Talbot. On 78 minutes he headed home after Lee Peacock had provided the assist. Having lost at Griffin Park in what was something of a goal feast, the return fixture turned out to be the proverbial damp squib. Lewis Guy came in for his full debut, and Leo Fortune West returned to the squad. Neil Roberts went closest in the first half, just failing to make good contact with Coppinger's cross, and after the break it was ex-Rovers keeper Stuart Nelson who pulled off an excellent save to deny John Doolan. At Blackpool, Ian Turner, a loan signing from Everton, made his debut for Rovers in goal. And the home side had Richie Wellens sent off before Doncaster took the lead just 5 minutes before the interval. Jermaine McSporran's corner wasn't properly cleared, and Tim Ryan rifled home one of his specials from fully 25 yards. Gradually the home side fought back and levelled on 54 minutes when John Murphy scrambled the ball into the back of the net. Football on a Thursday night, whatever will they think of next? The Bantams took an early lead when Mark Bridge-Wilkinson's shot was deflected past Andy Warrington, who'd been recalled to the first team. But then a stroke of good fortune redressed the balance. Neil Roberts headed on to Greg Blundell, his crossfield pass went straight to Jermaine McSporran, and his low cross from the right was hammered past his own keeper Paul Henderson by City's defender Mark Bauer. It was Prenton Park on Easter Monday afternoon, and those travelling fans that went across the Pennines weren't to be disappointed. Ian Turner was back in goal after international duty, and Rovers were 2 up after only 5 minutes. Michael McIndoe scored the first, and Greg Blundell doubled Doncaster's lead, and they seemed to be in total control. But then Eugene Daddy pulled the goal back, and Doncaster had to defend. Daddy then decided to take out his own revenge on John Doolan and was promptly dismissed. It didn't stop Tranmere, however, who levelled just before the break through Paul Hall. The travelling army could be forgiven for thinking it was going to be just one of those days, but it all came right in the end, as second-half goals from Ricky Ravenhill and Neil Roberts, both created by James Coppinger, gave Doncaster an emphatic victory. Still in with an outside chance of the playoffs, and supporters dreaming of a third consecutive promotion. The game with Colchester was one that perhaps was always going to be difficult to predict. The Essex side arrived at Bellevue on a 6-game unbeaten run, and yet again Rovers had to come from a goal down to get something out of the match. Marine O'Keefe's early effort took a deflection and way beyond Ian Turner, and for long part of this match it looked as though Doncaster were going to lose their third home game of the season. But then, with just 40 minutes remaining, Greg Blundell passed to Lewis Guy, who composed himself before scoring the equaliser from close range. And so to the final derby game of the season, and a trip to the Galfarm Stadium. Pavel Abbott gave Huddersfield Town the lead in the very first minute when Rovers were asleep following a quick throw-in. But they somehow got back on terms when Leo Fortune West scored a typical poacher's goal on 15 minutes. Rovers were gradually being forced back by a slick-looking home side who regained the lead just before the break, Andy Booth heading home from close range. And when Chris Brandon scored Huddersfield's third just 11 minutes into the second half, it looked very much as Rovers were facing an onslaught, but to their credit they prevented any further score.
Ball in from the throw-in. Williams trying to back it out. This is Ryan. Good turn from Ryan. Tries a decent one to the back post. Could be a problem here for County early on, and there is a problem. And Stockport County are 1-0 down inside the minute. Come back to that in a moment. Jackman, Barlow delivers it in, and Fondry tried to peel around the back of a defender. Barlow still got it. Briggs taking a deflection, it's got in! And Keith Briggs has scored his third goal for Stockport County. And we'll have 2 minutes added on. Hurst delivers in. Ballo, Lafondra, and County up! They're 2-1 up! And then would you believe it? They started the half on a downer, they finish it on a high. Stockport County has taken a 1-0 defeat into a 2-1 at half-time. Turner with the kick then. Again, it's Rains and Fortune West. And I'll tell you something, my view on the day's proceedings so far is that Fortune West could be a problem here. Could they? Yes, they could. Just a straight ball through. County in 6s and 7s, and Green has equalised for Doncaster with 18 minutes left. Over hit, I think. That'll go back to the keeper. Turner this time doesn't slice it. Oh, it could be a problem again here. Oh, and it is. It's heartbreaking for Stockport County. McIndoe just walks through the county defence. So once again, the county fans giving a little bit of false hope. And it's not over yet, this game. It's kept in. And it's 4. Would you believe that?
Hartlepool arrived at Bellevue still confident of a playoff spot, and after a goalless first half they may well have fancied their chances to take all 3 points. It was Rovers though who broke the deadlock on 54 minutes. Lewis Guy fed Ricky Ravenhill, who slotted home from close range, and any hopes of an equaliser for the visitors went out of the window into stoppage time when Paul Green's creativity and a lucky bounce off Hartlepool keeper Konstantopoulos saw Leo Fortune West bundle the ball home from close range. Rovers were twice in front at Ashton Gate. Michael McIndoe's cross was headed in by Leo Fortune West in the first half. Steve Brooker got on the end of a long through ball to outpace the Rovers defence before shooting past Ian Turner. Fortune West scored what might well have been the winner in the closing stages after good build-up play involving Paul Green and Greg Blundell. And Brooker came to City's rescue once again when he headed home following a stoppage time corner. And so to the final game of the season, and what a pulsating match it turned out to be. Luton Town, under the leadership of ex-Rover Mike Newell, had already ensured that they would finish as league champions, and they came to Bellevue looking for another win that would take them over the 100-point mark. They were to be rocked, however, in the very first minute after Lewis Guy slotted Rovers in front, following good build-up play by James Coppinger. And it was an advantage they held for most of the first half, until 2 goals in almost as many minutes gave the Hatters the interval lead. Russell Perrott headed the first after confusion in the Rovers' penalty area, and then Steve Howard took advantage of a mix-up involving skipper Steve Foster and keeper Ian Turner to walk in the second. Doncaster battled back and drew level when Steve Robinson headed the ball into his own net. Rovers' 6th own goal of the season, would you believe? But then Luton regained the lead when Kevin Nichols hit an absolute scorcher from 25 yards. The scoring was complete when Lewis Guy scored his second of the afternoon after battling work down the right by Paul Green to bring the curtain down on a fantastic game at Bellevue. In the end, it was a rewarding season for Doncaster Rovers. They acclimatised very well to life in League One and finished in a very creditable 10th place in the final table. Only 6 points from the playoff and another one for the statistics. Rovers didn't concede a penalty in a league game throughout the entire season.